What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about MicroStrategy today, MSTR. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are. Yes, I have a little percentage drawn here, but we'll go over that in a second. We're at about $290, yes. Opening up the day 7% to the downside. Wicked back up. We filled the gap. Man, this is Gap City up in this area here. We're likely going lower. Bitcoin's likely going lower, and my assumption is that we'll see prices below 250 for MicroStrategy. If we take this relative low here to the relative high, the reason why I think we'll go to 250 or lower, probably below 250, is that right here our 786 is at 251. I actually assume that we will go all the way down to our 886 or lower. So it's a little bit below our 250 area there. If we also take not just the low to high, but if we take this all-time high to the relative low here, if we go below the 236, which I think we're probably about to, this red line, we likely don't stop until the pink line, which is right there at about at about 245 there. So these areas lining up, the kind of base area of this fib to find support, the base area of this fib to find support, they both line up together rather well, and it would set us up for some kind of double bottom, slightly higher low look. That drop all the way down to 240, 245, something in that zone there. Let's see what that would bring us. Brings us down to about a 15% drop. And MicroStrategy dropping 15% might sound like a lot, but when you take into consideration that Bitcoin likely does drop below 72K, that's a 12% drop. To me, that doesn't seem enough. If Bitcoin drops 12%, I have a hard time seeing MicroStrategy drop 15%. You know what I mean? I think it'll drop more than that. If Bitcoin drops 12%, MicroStrategy probably more closely resembles a 20% drop or something of that magnitude, which would take you slightly below these lows here. Now, essentially what we have is a target range between about 245 to maybe 220, something like that. You could even go lower down to 200 and find support down here, though if Bitcoin drops 12%, 13%, I have a hard time seeing MicroStrategy drop 30%. And there's a scenario in which you might see a very well-tracked MSTR drop to Bitcoin. What do I mean by well-tracked? I mean, if Bitcoin drops 12%, MicroStrategy it could find support at this 245 area. It could find support right here at 240 to 245. It might not drop that much more than Bitcoin. And my thought behind that, my theory behind that is if Bitcoin drops, we are coming to the end of the week, right? It is Thursday after all. MicroStrategy will be open today and tomorrow, but Bitcoin's open on the following 3 days afterwards, right? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday, stock market opens as well, I think. Let's just see. Are we open on Monday this next week? I never know when the holidays are coming. The stock market's open as well, but not in the early hours, right? Bitcoin, for Monday for Bitcoin, it'll exist. It'll probably run through like 12 hours of that day before the stock market actually opens. You know what I mean? So we'll see a good bit of that day go by. There's time for Bitcoin to make its drop is what I'm trying to say. There's time for Bitcoin to resolve itself and find the low at the area that I'm expecting it to, that I've been expecting it to, and MicroStrategy might be closed. It could be absolved of being negatively affected by this. Now, I think that tomorrow, Friday, we will close down. Today, obviously, we'll close down. But that might be it. What we see tomorrow, what we see by the end of today and tomorrow, that might be it for MicroStrategy. Or perhaps on Monday we do open up with a gap down because of Bitcoin. On Friday, maybe Bitcoin closes around here or it closes around 79K, 80K, 78K, whatever it is. If it closes here or MicroStrategy closes while Bitcoin's here and then Bitcoin drops down, MicroStrategy opens up, Bitcoin's a little bit lower than its prices, you might see MicroStrategy open up to the downside on Monday. But I'm thinking that between today, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday of next week, we're going to find our low for MSTR. That's my thoughts. If it's a little bit later, timing is not my strong suit. Timing is probably not any technical analyst's strong suit, honestly. But that's kind of the expectation. That's the expectation, at least as of now. And we could be absolved of going to prices below these lows if the drop happens over the weekend for Bitcoin, which as of now, I think we're set up to do that. Because if you've noticed how Bitcoin drops, whenever it does drop, it doesn't really dilly-dally too much, right? You're dropping here from a high to a low. You dropped, how much was that? And that took that took like 5 days, right? 4 days. That was a 14% drop, kind of like what we're talking about now. From here, you didn't really dilly-dally. There were a couple of days here and there where you dilly-dallied, and that was, to be fair, that was on Saturday and Sunday, to be completely fair. And then here, that was on a Thursday, so it doesn't really help. But 21% drop overall. Here, I'm not going to take this. I think this is where your drop actually began, was this high here. That high there, you didn't really dilly-dally at all, 17% to the downside. And then here, we're dropping, man. I don't think that we're going to waste any time unless we see some kind of sideways movement on our Saturday, Sunday, which we could. But if not, I will say, let me just rephrase this again, because I know that it might be confusing. I'm not trying to be confusing. I'm just trying to get this out there properly, okay? So if we do have a boring weekend for Bitcoin, I would expect that next week is even more bearish for MicroStrategy. We probably don't find support by Monday. But if Bitcoin does have a rather disruptive weekend and we do move down, I think that we will. I think people are uncertain and fearful right now, so I think that's going to carry out through the weekend, and it's easier to shake people out. The retail investors are going to be the ones that are shaken out, and the retail investors are where a lot of that liquidity comes in for the institutions to buy up, right? That's so, and not that the institutions are necessarily open or operating on those days, but I'm sure there will be some big players in the markets on those days who are operating. At any rate, all I'm trying to say is I would expect that this drop does happen soon, short, abrupt. It's going to go all the way down to 74 to 72K, and if it can happen before the stock market opens, or at least most of it happens by then, and then we start moving up as the stock market opens, MicroStrategy might not be as negatively impacted. Okay, if we have a boring weekend, if Friday closes, if Saturday and Sunday are boring for Bitcoin, likely you will. I would think you stand a chance at seeing prices below these lows, okay? But at the moment, I'm calling for a $235 price, a $245 price, somewhere in that kind of area for like a double bottom. If the weekend is boring for Bitcoin, then the odds are we probably do go below this. Do we have to go all the way down to 200? No, but we could. It's very, very possible, okay? Afterwards, MSTR, it's got a one-tracked mine, man. It is going straight to $1,000, $1,100 by the end of June is my expectation, somewhere in that kind of time frame. And again, we base that off of how this thing has moved throughout its whole cycle so far. And I do believe that this next move will be the biggest move that we've seen all cycle. And that's kind of how it normally happens, right? As the bull cycle goes on, you see bigger and bigger moves. You see things pick up at a faster pace, or maybe at the same pace, but just at a bigger percentage growth. And I think that by the end of June, and this says the end of September, I'm just drawing it this way, but it'd actually be a little bit be like this, right? By the end of June, I think that we'll be up here, and that's actually very, very comparable. If we look here, it's very comparable to what we did back here. Very, very comparable here. It's very comparable from a high to a low what we did back here, right? And this move I think will only be bigger. That high right there, that takes us right up to about $1,200. I think $1,100 to $1,300 sounds about right to me. So I've got nothing else to say. And again, I think it will be a bigger move. So if we take it from the potential low, you know, if it were to go up to that target area still, that would make it a bigger move all in all. So that's all I got for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I do believe that MSTR is going a little bit lower. We're thinking 245 to 235 right now, with the door completely open to go below these lows here at how low is that price there? No, that's not right. Right? What? 231. Sorry, with the potential to go below 230 and even down to 200, but I don't think we'd go too much lower than that. That'd be the worst case scenario. Looking for a bottom for BTC before the stock market opens on Monday. That might help Bitcoin related stocks not get impacted as heavily. That's kind of my theory there, but we'll see if it works out. All right, take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.